truthfully, it's kind of shocking to me. And if you haven't studied the value equation of this knife yet, I think it might be for you as well, as we go along here. Now, for me, it provides what I will call a WTH moment. Oh no, another Nutnfancy acronym. No, it's not. It's been around forever, and I think you know exactly what it stands for. You guessed it. What the heck? Yeah, that's what it is. A what the heck moment. That's because the current price on this knife is $250. Street price, not MSRP, 250 bucks, or online price. Now, if you're lucky, maybe it's 220, 230, but for the purposes of value comparisons, let's just ballpark it, early 2013, 250 bucks for the Spyderco Southard C156 GPBN. First, the name. Am I saying that right? Southard? Or is it Southard? I don't really know. Maybe it's another pronunciation. The designer is Brad Southard. Southard? Sorry, Brad. I'm trying, man. Won't be the last time I mispronounce a name. So yeah, 250 bucks. And get this, here we go into some value discussion, which will dovetail into POU. The country of origin is not the United States of America. It's not Italy. It's Taiwan. That's right. So it's a factory-produced Spyderco Taiwanese blade. 250 bucks. Now, don't get me wrong. As we get into the details of the Southard C156, you're going to see it's a cool knife. It has a lot of great features to it. It is very cool. But if we're going out and spending 250 bucks on a folding knife, does that not open up a world of possibilities to us? Doesn't it? I say it does. And if I'm spending that kind of money, I really want a US produced blade. Now that's just me. When I go over 200 bucks, I want to support a US labor force, man, and I want some value for my money. You may see this knife completely different, and you may say, hey, 250 bucks, totally worth it. Well, let's get into that discussion right now, because that's a POU discussion, and I put out a video exactly on this called the high-end carry concept. Okay, that's where guys like spending a lot of money on their knives, and they like carrying it and using it every day. It's not a collectible, it's a high-end carry knife. And I think the Southard could totally function in that philosophy of use. Now, I'm not really an official part of the knife community. I'm an outsider. And by the way, I relish that. It allows great independence, and that's what you get in all my reviews, all my knife stuff, and that's why guys keep coming back to TMP, because they know it's no BS. It's unvarnished truth. Is it always objective? No, not always. I try, but there's some subjectiveness in it. And when we talk about HEC, it's very subjective. Is it a valid concept to you? Are you going to spend 250 bucks on an HEC blade? I don't know. For me, for this knife, the answer is no. I think you perhaps gathered that fact already. But some guys do. And they like the titanium integral lock folding knives, frame lock, whatever you want to call it. They like it. It's cooler. You're not a douche if you have a knife like this. As opposed to, I don't know, what am I carrying now? I don't even want to show you, because I haven't reviewed this one knife. Here comes a competitive option. Here we go. The Benchmade Torrent 890. No, that's a cool knife. I'm kind of kidding around, but there's some guys, that, I don't know, they maybe a little bit elitist in their knife choices, and they like something that's very expensive because it sets them above the crowd. They know other guys aren't going to have it. It says something about their person. It's all, I shouldn't say all, but has a lot to do with marketing. And if you can market a knife into HEC, POU, a lot of acronyms, I say rock on. Do it. Doesn't mean I'm going to personally buy off on it. And every knife is different. I mean, I may look at this knife and maybe down the road I find another Taiwanese produced Spyderco blade that's around the same price that I'm totally digging. So it's a very individual thing with each knife. But I'll say the first philosophy of use, HEC. An EDC knife, an upscale special, albeit factory produced, HEC knife. Second POU, I'll say collectible. Just like I always say, not in terms of value increasing. It might be. I mean, if they discontinue this and it becomes a flop, it doesn't sell that well, year, 2 years later, it's discontinued, the C156, it could gain in value. But I would never buy a knife, a factory, non-special knife, in the hopes that I'm going to, make money off of it. Hey, I'm going to collect this. 10 years later, I'm going to sell it for a lot more money. I could think of a lot better ways to make money. But collectible. Gift knife, no. Too dang expensive. Unless someone's really special. And honestly, I could think of a lot, cooler knives. For me personally, that I would want to get with $250. Or give to someone else for that. I'm going to show you a few competitive options, and I'll give you an idea. All of them have been reviewed, by the way. Tactical, no. Normal, everyday carry knife, no. It's too expensive. There's a bazillion other choices that I would go for first. There you go. That's POU. How about the weight? You guys know I'm huge on this, right? Well, the weight is actually pretty awesome. 4.2 ounces. The feel is awesome. It's balanced. It feels good in hand. And for a titanium frame lock, it's not a frame lock. It's a Chris Reeve integral lock. RIL, dude. Whatever. Same to me. That's a light knife, though. 4.2 ounces. Like I've said in other reviews, is sometimes pretty heavy. Talking about when we put a titanium frame lock in our hands. They're not that light. But for its size, I think 4.2 ounces, awesome. The steel is something I really don't know too much about. It's called CTS 204P. It's a powdered metal technology steel. It's made by Carpenter. Here comes your stats. Take a look-see, if you will. You can see there the composition is 1.9% carbon, 20% chromium, 4% vanadium. There you go. And you can see some of the write-up that Carpenter does on the steel, what it's intended for, its capabilities. To me, it seems, at least in purpose, very similar to the Crucible Metals steel. Maybe CPM S30V. Some of the other variations like that. I think some dudes are saying it's similar to Duratech 20CV. I reviewed, I think, a SOG knife that was made of that. CPM 20CV. So I haven't tested it, and this knife is on loan, so I'm not going to test this one either. It's expensive. I was tempted, trust me. Hey man, can I go thrash on your knife for the review? They probably would have said okay, but I'm not doing it. So I'm not an expert on the steel. I don't know. I think it's going to be extremely rust resistant with freaking 20% chromium in it. And I think it's going to be very similar to, again, in performance to a non-steel expert, to one of the CPM steels. Will we see more of it? I don't know. Just depends how the market accepts it. But maybe some of that $250 cost is due to the steel. That happens a lot. I mean, you put some expensive steel in the knife, up goes the price. Look how thick that sucker is. That's 4mm thick stock. That's thick. 3.5 inch blade, and I love the blade shape. It's hollow ground. Are you surprised I like the blade shape? You shouldn't be. It's a modified drop point in my book. I love it. It's got good belly. It's got a nice tip. That swooping tip, again, reminds me of a Centofonte 3, perhaps. Lots of other knives have that. I mean, it's all over the place. You can see there's a flat right here. That would be very helpful for resharpening the blade. We'll talk about that here in a second. There's your stamping, Taiwan right there. Beautiful stone washing on the blade. I really like the stone washing job on it. Fit and finish throughout this knife is absolutely perfect. And as we've seen since 2008 here in TMP, a knife does not have to be produced in the good old USA to be awesome. No way, no how. Doesn't. So that's a steel blade shape. I like it. By the way, out of box, extremely sharp. Extremely. I don't have any paper handy, but trust me. Speed is excellent. For Spyderco's apparently first flipper design. It's cool. I like flipper knives. We've reviewed, I don't know, hundreds of them here. Maybe not hundreds, but lots. Speed is excellent. It has a detent in there that kind of resists the actuation, so you can get some thrust on the deployment. Lockup is excellent. There's no movement up, down, side to side. It better be that way for a $250 knife. There's your engagement of the lock bar, titanium variety. That whole side right there is titanium. No hardened stainless steel insert right there. I didn't check what type of titanium this is. You could find out if you're really interested. I really like a hardened stainless steel portion right here that I can replace over time if I hard use this blade. That's just me though. I would say good strength, especially for basically what's going to amount to utility tasks. HEC, honestly, high-end carry, it can be tactical, it can be, I don't know, utility tasks, but I think most people are EDC in their knives. So for this, I think it'll be great. I'm not one to bow down on the altar of frame locks and say they are the best thing ever. I think they're cool, I think they're strong, but they can fail on you and they can loosen up and rattle. I've seen it lots in my testing and review here over 5 years. Lots. I've shown some on camera. One of them was that DPX Hest knife. That was also a titanium frame lock. There we go. How about the handle construction? I will go on record saying I like G10 titanium construction just for looks. You can make a case, say, hey, that's not ergonomic. You know, on one side you got G10, it's warm, you know, it's good traction. And by the way, the G10 they're using here, excellent. I would classify it as high traction G10, and I love the color. No surprise. FDE coloration, it's really cool. I love it. On this side, smooth titanium. And check this out. There's a little G10 disc there. Functions as a hyperextension plate so you don't hyperextend the lock bar. That's a cool thing. I like that. Very cool, actually. And I think it's functional. So it's an over travel stop on the locking bar. You can see the milling on the locking bar there. Details. Pillar construction. I love that. Very cool. Big old lanyard hole there, so 550 cord will go right through. Like the looks of it. It's a handsome blade. Centering is perfect. Retention, perfect. How about that jimping though? Not perfect. Sucks. It's like, it's aesthetic only. So yeah, that to me is a huge miss on this knife. I mean, is it for looks only? Apparently. Yeah. There is a little bit of occlusion as I see it on the deployment hole. I was talking about speed. I really didn't talk about deploying it through the deployment hole. You can dig your finger in there. It is milled out, as you can see, through the G10. It is radiused, but it's a relatively small hole, and it's kind of sitting low in the handle. The whole blade does, which looks cool. It carries cool, but for coming this way, can you do it? Maybe. If you have tiny thumbs, you can, but I think it's a little bit occluded. Clip design. First off, I think it should be stonewashed to match the finish of that titanium. I think having a bright clip on a $250 knife and it's not thematically matched to the handle, it's kind of a miss. Or maybe it should be black. You know, something a little bit, I don't know, in my book, a little bit cooler. It does carry tip up. I really like that, except this is not a knife for lefties, apparently. You're stuck with that. Can't swap it to the pivot point, can't swap it to the side. Contrary to most Spyderco designs. Yeah. Durability, I think, will be good as long as you don't abuse it. You start hacking around with it, I think you're going to get lock rock right here. That's my prediction. These titaniums, they're good, but they're not like steel in my book. Not through hardware. Could be wrong. Value, options. It's $250, dudes. That's a lot of freaking money. For instance, I could go out and buy this knife. Now it's a bigger knife. Tactical blade. The zero tolerance, 0561. 5.8 ounces, so it's definitely heavier, but it's definitely bigger ttoo. It's 3.75 inches. L-Max steel. Around the same price. 250, 260. US produced. Go reference my review. Awesome blade. Perfect pocket clip. You can swap the pocket clip 4 ways. 3D machining on this titanium. Wicked sharp. Wicked strength. It is just a beautiful knife. Same POU? I don't know. You decide. Same price. I'd go for this any day of the week. How about this one? Spyderco Sage in titanium. We'll go to the Spyderco lineup. This knife is a Hall of Famer. Most of the Sage series are with me. This is C123 Ti, 3.6 ounces S30V steel, so it's a powdered metal technology steel. About $185, maybe less, maybe more. Hopefully not more. Also made in Taiwan. Still expensive, I ain't saying it ain't. I said that in the review of this knife. But man, do I like it better. Look at the thinness. Sage just dominates it in thinness. Loop over, wire clip. Excellent jimping, thinner blade. I gotta tell you, I don't really dig the thickness on the Southard. Not so much. I'd go with the Sage myself. I'd rather see the stonewashing on this blade like it has on there, though. How about this knife? This knife just rocks it. The Lightning. Hey, I love this knife, man. I reviewed it last summer. It is excellent. It's a Chinese produced, out the front auto knife, and it is awesome. About $25. Go to the link in the upper right. They still have them. They sell out every time we put them in there too, man. What a great knife. I'm just messing around, by the way. It's completely different. But is it really? I mean, for enjoyment level? I mean, how many of these could I buy for one of those? I don't know. Here's this one. I've shown this one lots in front of the camera. The T&P Bradley Alias. Benchmade produced, 4 ounces, S30V steel, 3.5-inch blade. Pillar construction, titanium as well. Frame lock. And that is about $215. Wow, that's a cool knife. I like that a lot. Which one would you prefer? Well, if you just gave them to me and I was just carrying around day to day, it'd be a hard question, to be honest with me. My main beef with this is, to be honest, is value. I should say more specifically, price. If this knife, the Southard, was $125, half price of what it's going for now, I honestly would be extremely stoked on it. I would. This would be a completely different review. I'd go, hey, this is excellent. It's going to compete very favorably against the Sage series, against all these knives. And actually, it would blow this away in terms of value. Now, I showed you this one earlier, and is it really in the same category? To me, it's interesting. It's a Benchmade Torrent 890, 3.8 ounces, 154 cm steel, about $90. This is a very cool knife. It's very capable. This one is like a first production. Check that. Oh, 94 of 1,000. The only thing I don't like about it, I said this in the review back in, I don't know, 2010, is it's tip down carry. You're stuck with it. Got a nice non-lethal impact bottom on it. I like this knife. I made mention that some guys, you know, they want to carry a frame lock, titanium, something different, something expensive. Maybe it sets them apart from other knife owners, other dudes they hang out with. I don't know. You know, value is in the eye of the beholder. We're all different. We all have different likes, tastes, what we're willing to spend our knife money on. I get it. But for me, for my money, $250 is just too darn much. It is. Made in the USA, maybe. Even then, it's pushing it. But nothing fancy that. 0561 is made in the USA and it's about the same price. I know, but to me, it provides a lot more. It's a bigger knife, 3D machining on the titanium. It's just, to me, a more knife. This one is. It is a cool blade. It's fast, it's strong, it's balanced. There's really not too many flaws on it except the complete lack of useful jimping. It just needs to be, I don't know, cheaper. Like a lot cheaper. This is Nutnfancy. See ya.